The lasso of Hestia compels you to reveal the truth.
I can tell you're lying.
I love you.
The power to compel truth and detect lies sounds so overpowered until you actually try to use them. Ever since I was a kid, powers that allow someone to find out the truth have always fascinated me. Probably because I was a lying-ass kid, but that's besides the point. It is genuinely my favorite power. But recently I've had more time to think about these kinds of powers and how impractical they can be. And goddamn, some of them suck. So I've arranged a diverse group of characters with quote-unquote truth powers for us to analyze today. Also, yeah, I'm looking at the powers from the perspective of their truth inducement and or lie detection only. Every other power the character we're looking at has is irrelevant to the point. The first few characters we have are Toph Beifong from Avatar,
I am the greatest earthbender in the world. Don't you two dunderheads ever forget it.
Murdock, aka Daredevil from Marvel, and the Truthsayers from Dune. These are characters whose powers I like to describe as lie detection. They don't necessarily compel the truth, but their powers allow them to know when someone's lying. Ideally, anyway.
I am a 400-foot-tall purple platypus bear with pink horns and silver wings.
Okay, you're good, I admit it.
Take Toph, for example. She has a power called seismic sense, which is essentially how she sees, because this seismic sense allows her to detect vibrations in the ground to perceive her environment. It basically works like sonar now that I think about it. She's also able to detect tiny vibrations like elevated heart rates or breathing pattern changes, which could be signs of deception. Also, yeah, it's not a passive power, she has to pay attention. Next, we have Daredevil, who is essentially another blind main character. His powers work very similarly to Toph's, and he essentially detects the same things as her. But where they differ is Daredevil relies on his other superhuman senses, such as his hearing and smell. Definitely not his sight though. Get it? Cause he's blind. I'm sorry. It allows him to detect those changes. And finally, for this category, we have the Truthsayers from Dune. The Truthsayers are women who've learned the art of observation. Unlike the other two examples, these ones can see far too well. Their hyper-awareness is a skill developed through extensive training, which makes it not just good for interrogation and torture, but also for sensing danger. The edge they have over Toph and Daredevil is that they can actually see, which allows them better examination of things like body language. The next category is the truth compulsion characters. So you have your Wonder Woman, your Allison from Umbrella Academy, your Lelouch, your truth serums. Wonder Woman's lasso of truth is not something I think I need to explain honestly. At this point, it's so iconic that everyone knows how it works. You get wrapped up, you tell the truth, bada bing bada boom. Allison and Lelouch though, yeah, they have a similar power in a sense, because Allison has her I heard a rumor powers and Lelouch has his Gias powers. They can both force anyone to do their bidding, though in Allison's case she has to say the words I heard a rumor preceded by whatever she wants you to do, while Lelouch just has to make eye contact. But we're focusing on similarities here. Though these powers aren't necessarily truth-centered, I can imagine Allison saying, I heard a rumor you told me the truth about so-and-so, and, well, what's stopping it from working? For example, if I said, I heard a rumor you click the subscribe button, like, please click the subscribe button. Next, we have the truth serums, which actually exist in real life, although with a range of ethical or legal concerns. There are so many interpretations of how they work, so I'll use the one that's closest to real life. They inebriate the patient and extract information or fabricate memories while the patient, quote unquote, is in a suggestible state. It's basically drugs. And for the final category, we have memory/mind readers. There's actually a difference between them, with memory readers only being able to access stored information and mind readers doing whatever other BS you see them doing in media. The characters you would usually term as telepaths are mind readers most of the time. For example, mind readers include characters like Jean Grey, Psyche K, Anya Forger, 11 allegedly. I don't know. I haven't watched Stranger Things. Synapse from The Boys. Shit, even Akinator. Kind of. Sort of. I think. And for memory readers, we have Pakunoda from Hunter x Hunter. But there are more somewhere, I swear. I swear. And yeah, I know you might be asking, isn't Synapse a memory reader too, since we saw him reading memories in that one scene in season 5 of The Boys? And I would answer, yeah. We also have Naomasa Tsukauchi from My Hero Academia. And if you don't know who that is, well, welcome to the club! Her quirk apparently allows her to know whether someone is telling the truth or not. Don't ask me how it works. It just does that. So yeah, we have 4 categories: lie detection, truth compulsion, truth serums, yes, I'm giving it its own category, and mind and memory readers. So now that I've spent enough time going through examples and padding out this video's runtime, let's now answer the questions. Why do these powers suck? Limitations. Every power that detects / compels truth has inherent limitations, not because of the power itself, but because of how nuanced and complex truth itself can be. And I know that is probably the answer most of you were already expecting, but just follow me, let's run through the limitations off the top of my head I was able to get. Don't worry, I won't waste time going through all of them. I just made a table to illustrate. If the person believes in a lie, all of them fail. If the person doesn't know, all of them fail. If the person speaks a half-truth or double-speak, well, it's half situational, half passing. If the person speaks another language, that's kind of complicated. If the person refuses to answer, that's not complicated. If the person is intoxicated, that's highly situational. If the person misremembers due to trauma or something, that's even more complicated. You have to ask the right question, and half of them fail if you don't. And what if the person isn't even in your line of sight? For this one, I genuinely don't even know. Basically, none of them are surefire in a way that matters. And I know it's a fictional power, so it has to have limitations to allow conflict and interest around its use. That's fine. I'm just saying, as someone who has had this power as their favorite for years, just seeing how limited it can be in its use, I don't know, man. it's like literally the people who have the most greens are mind readers. Truth detection is basically a bonus skill for them. It makes it feel less like a superpower and more like a really cool skill for other powers. But I can give most of them leeway since it isn't their primary power, so of course there'll be hella limitations. With the sole exception of Jonathan Sims. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the Magnus Archives and fictional horror. And fictional? What the hell did I write in my script? Fictional horror audio drama that has one of my favorite depictions of the truth power ever. Also, before we get into Jonathan Sims, I know there are a lot of other truth powers that I didn't mention, mostly because I have not watched those media yet. So yeah, if you have other examples, leave them in the comments and, talk about them. Engagement. So yeah, where was I? Jonathan Sims. Once an archivist, unfortunately becomes the avatar of the eye, the beholding, the ceaseless watcher, whatever you want to call it. It's an indifferent, godlike entity that feeds on the fear of being observed. It grants Sims the power to compel truth from people, which sounds alright, but nothing that really makes him an exception. Well, he can also realize information on anyone from his omnipotent patron randomly. He can know everything about you before compelling any truth out of you. The power does have a small drawback though. You become dependent on knowledge and kinda need it to sustain yourself, as it's become akin to food for you, and you constantly need to induce fear in others to feed your patron, else it will feed on you. But besides that, it's a cool ass power that leans into more drawbacks than limitations. And I know the power to compel truth kind of sounds redundant if you have an immortal patron that knows everything already, but what the patron feeds on is fear specifically, so it will only give you enough for you to continue and get that fear out of people. So it kind of balances itself in a way where it can't give you all the knowledge, because where is the person's fear coming from? And it can't give you the fear because how the fuck would he even give you the fear? What am I saying? In real life, lie detectors have become very controversial, and have even become inadmissible in court due to disputes over their reliability and false positives. They are only as good as what they can detect, which could cause nervousness to end in a guilty verdict. Even outside courts, lie detector channels have faced controversy about how accurate and realistic their results are, and if their contents were fake. Do I believe they are? I don't know. Even our most basic form of verification, our memories, can't be completely trusted because multiple studies and court cases have ruled out the human memory as a reliable source in and of itself, and it's highly prone to errors and reconstructions. It's good for telling if something happened, but when it comes to details, it becomes very tricky. And this issue is exacerbated by the rise of generative AI, so we are losing trust in our eyes as well in our daily lives. It's no wonder why that's reflected in fiction, because the closer a fictional truth power gets to actually being useful, the less it's really about detecting truth and the more it's about reading minds, rewriting reality, or becoming omniscient. And maybe that says it all about the nature of truth itself, and why a power to compel that will become so interesting. But looking at it realistically, looking at the fictional power realistically, yeah, I know I'm a buzzkill. It can't ever work in the way that will ever be completely useful. But yeah, that's actually all I had to say on this video. I didn't intend for it to be anything serious, just a look at this power and how weird it can be. Because it's really cool to me, honestly. I know this video is not quite as structured as I would have wanted it to be, but I just wanted to talk about it with a loose script. And yeah, that's all I have to say on it, honestly. If you found the video entertaining, I mean, like the red button, oh, the white button, there's a white now, the white button's right there, and you can leave a like. If you didn't find it entertaining, the dislike button is there, and you can hate in the comments. But yeah, have a great day and, love yourself. Bye.